Welcome to the Retro Blood.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Retro Blood as we continue Killer Objects 1980s Horror Movie Month Part 2, talking bad killer objects that either kill people on their own or you can use it from a madman. Up next, if y'all like $400 produced movies, if y'all like super overacting, that's honestly like really annoying. To be honest with you, I was annoyed. If you like that one guy who was in the Iron Claw and the Bear, you know that dude, I forgot his name. Zach, what's his name with the chin? I forgot it. It's the guy who played Carrie. If you like his I guess older brother in this film, who basically just yelled and says fuck the whole time. If you like kids killing their aunt and throwing her in a Woodchipper, and if you like no audio sound quality at all, then I got the film for you, because the Retro Blood is going to be talking all about Woodchipper Massacre. J.H. Alison, James Kline. What's happened, Alison? How's your local stay going out there and chopping down branches and throwing people in the woodchipper? Is that going pretty good for you?
Man, this was something else.
What the hell was it?
Did I like this movie? No, but I respect the fact that it got made.
Yeah.
You can tell that this guy, John McBride, just really loves movies. He's actually a pretty good filmmaker. Like the way he set certain scenes up just kind of looked cool. And he's really, really good at working with his limitations.
Yeah.
So is the movie good? No. But it's worthy of respect.
Well, apparently he did everything in this film.
Yeah, he starred in it, he wrote it, he produced it, he directed it.
Everything.
He plays John.
He plays his fucking dad and shit. It's like, come on.
Yeah, but he's the guy who wrote and directed Blades that we did last.
Yeah, we did that. We did that a couple years ago, I think. Blades.
Yeah, Blades was in Deadly Objects last time.
Yeah, part 1 of that.
Part 1.
Check that out in the archives. But yeah, I mean, this one, it was like, I appreciated the grittiness, and I appreciate the not having any kind of budget and using like maybe your friends or your family and stuff. And apparently they rented out the wood chipper for like just like a weekend, so they had to do all those shots in one weekend. I appreciate that, and like it shows that like this movie's still, I wouldn't say it's going strong or nothing, but you can still find it in places, and they probably made more money out of the film than they actually made to make it. But this is not this style of horror film is not my particular style, because it's trying to it's not like the concept was bad, but the dialogue on it was like god awful. I mean, just the worst.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds bad. I don't know. I mean, they just recorded it on a VHS.
Yeah.
VHS camera.
I mean,
they recorded the video the audio that way as well.
I mean, you can do like cheap movies. I mean, God knows I've done them. You know what I mean? Even though I got to start releasing them.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are out there already. But I've done the Massacre style series myself.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was a Corkscrew Massacre. And I did the same kind of gimmick where. Massacre is supposed to mean like you're killing a bunch of things. You know what I mean? It's a big massacre. Like, there's a ton of bodies. And this one only had like 2. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was a little bit disappointing.
Yeah. I don't know if 2 equals it, but I was thinking, you know what? When I did my film, I mean, technically I only had like 1 or 2 too. So, fuck it. So, but yeah, just like the low budget quality style film, you know what I mean, can work really well. But I think the only thing that was not doing it for me for this movie was, like I said, the dialogue. Like the whole dialogue was just really killing it. I think if they had like a little bit better the dialogue on it, I think I would have enjoyed it more. But just the dialogue was just so campy, which, you know, pretty sure that's what he was going for, but just wasn't my thing. But
no,
we'll talk all about it though.
Yeah, we will.
So, but you know, before we get into it, this is a fan requested movie that we do. It was actually this movie and the one we're going to be doing next week, Nail Gun Massacre. He wanted us to do these two movies. So shout out to Corey, okay, from Columbus, Ohio. He sent this in to the retroblood69@gmail. Y'all can send in your request. Just put your name, the town you're located, and the movies you want us to recommend. And he said, like, hey, guys, I love your show. Thank you, by the way.
Yes.
God, you like us. And he's saying, like, I think it'd be really cool if y'all do, like, this, like, a massacre month. And because I know he said, like, he listened to our, I guess he's been a listener for a while because he heard our part 1 of our Killer Objects month. He's like, he thinks it'd be really cool if we did, like, more, like, a massacre style month. And he came up with these two movies. And he's like, you know, here's these two that I recommend. Check them out. He said he really liked them. He thought it was very campy, and he can't wait to hear our thoughts of them. So, you'll hear the thoughts of them. That's for sure, Corey.
Oh, hope you're ready for this.
So he sent 2, and then that's how I kind of I took that, and I thought it'd be really cool to, like, you know, do because he sent this back in like September. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, well, I'll probably save these 2 and do it for January because that will coincide with when we did Killer Objects Month Part 1 was in January. So I just found the other 2, and then, well, here we go.
Here we are.
Woodchipper Massacre, man. To be honest with you, Corey, and everybody out there, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot to say about this because there just wasn't a whole lot there. But it did have a couple overacting one-liners that were decent, I guess. Mm-hmm. So, but speaking of decent, let's get into the history of what was going on in the world of the pro wrestling and the metal music around the release date, well, supposed release date of Woodchipper Massacre. We don't have so this movie was made or released in 1988, but we're not sure if it was released in theaters. We're not sure if it was definitely not in theaters.
This was definitely not released in theaters.
I'm thinking this is some sort of like back alley bootleg you would find at the One Quick Shop or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this we do have a release date that this was. It was released on video in 1990.
Yeah.
So we don't know exactly when this came out, but we're gonna say it came out in January of 1980.
Yeah, so we're doing like was it IMBI whatever release date, January 1st, 1988. That's probably what they put that because they don't know, you know. So nobody knows when the actual release date of this. Can we call this a film? Like, what was it? When this home video was? Okay. We're just gonna go with January 1st of 1988.
Sure.
Okay, that's when it was coming out. So, but how about we spice it up a little different, Alison? How about we talk about what's going on in the world of the metal music, aka rock music, around January 1st of 1988?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So, metal, yeah. So the early parts of the year are always hard to find things, but I did find something that came out like 4 days after this movie came out. So apparently, LA Guns' first major label album, I guess you would say, came out January 4th, 1988. And I want to talk a little bit about the history of this band because we've probably talked about them before, but we've never talked about them in relation to their history and how they came about. So basically, I mean, you're familiar with LA Guns and you're familiar with Guns N' Roses, but those bands are kind of related. So LA Guns originally formed in like the early 80s, like 1983, I think. Tracy Guns was the guitar player, and they had like different singers and different lineups. And Axl Rose, who would go on to be famous in Guns N' Roses, was in a band called Hollywood Rose. And it had most of the members that would go on to be in Guns N' Roses. It had Axl, it had Izzy Stradlin, and Steven Adler, I believe, were all in the band. I don't think Duff was there yet. But Tracy Gunn's Tracy Gunn's LA Guns band and Hollywood Rose merged into a band that they called Guns N' Roses. So that band was basically the Guns N' Roses we know of now with a different bass player, and it had Tracy Guns on lead guitar. And then they played that way for a while, and then they had some kind of falling out, and they split apart again. Then Duff came on board to Guns N' Roses. Guns N' Roses kept their name, and then Slash replaced Tracy Guns. Then Tracy Guns put together a new band with Phil Lewis from Girl to be LA Guns, and they had Steve Riley from Wasp playing drums. And they put out several really good albums, but they were one of those bands that just kind of fell between the cracks a little bit. Like they're not nearly well known as Guns N' Roses, and they didn't get the notoriety that they probably deserved. But their first 2 or 3 albums were all really good. This first album is it's good. It's not as good as Cocked and Loaded, which is their second album, but this does have Electric Gypsy. It has Sex Action. It does have some pretty good classic songs on it, but I would say that they would go on to be a much better band on their second album, which was Cocked and Loaded, like I said, and then their third album, which is Hollywood Vampires, I believe. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that in their history a little bit before we moved on. Do you have any history with LA Guns? Are you familiar with them whatsoever?
A little bit. Like, I wasn't familiar with too much with them until I did some research.
Yeah.
And, I knew one of my favorite bands from Finland, the 69 Eyes. I know this is a big inspiration to them.
Yes.
LA Guns was.
Yeah, 69 Eyes is almost a LA Guns clone in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that, that rock and roll style, hair metal scene, more leather, more the leather, more the bandana,
Yeah, like the what I call the vampire look, like they're like all dark, and they were different. Like, most of those hair metal bands were like real bright and wore bright clothes and had puffed up hair and that kind of thing. Yeah. And LA Guns was different. They were dark, more vampire like. They were dark black leather, and which is, I think, one of the reasons they weren't as successful as they could have been is because they weren't as marketable. They
weren't flashy.
They weren't flashy. It was harder to sell that than it was to sell Poison to the crowds, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see that. Like 69 Eyes, like I see a huge LA Guns influence in their work. They're a highly influential band.
Yeah.
It's just that they just don't get the credit that they probably deserve for being as influential as they were.
Yeah, and their melodies and their lyrics and everything is very good. Like, they're not like a typical just like one hit, wonder style hair band.
No,
you know what I mean?
For sure.
Like they
definitely.
Yeah, they put a lot of work into their tracks, and I think a lot of their stuff is pretty. It's not like it's not supposed to be like hair metal catchy, but it's like the hair metal rock and roll.
Yes,
style.
Exactly. It's more like it's almost like throwback music. It's like a, it is rock and roll. It's like 70s style rock and roll brought into the 80s. Yeah, but the first LA Guns album, like I said, it's not as good as 2 and 3, but it's a great album, and you guys should check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently they said they, with the album, they spent 33 weeks on the Billboard charts when this album came out. They're also saying that, I guess the album also included some cover versions of 2 songs by members from former projects.
Yeah, they use some, they definitely reuse some old songs. Like I think Kelly Nichols brought in a song from his old band. And Kelly Nichols was the bass player, and then I believe Phil Lewis brought in a couple of songs that he had played in Girl. Hollywood Tease was a Girl song.
Yeah, and
Shoot for Thrills was the Sweet Pain song, which was Kelly Nichols' band before he was in LA Guns.
Yes, and apparently they also said they got the whole album done in about 6 weeks, which is pretty impressive. And that they were highly influenced for this album by the Sex Pistols because they liked their type of edge and energy.
Well, I can kind of see that. Like, I would not have picked that out of their sound, but yeah, I can kind of see that.
Yeah. So they wanted to get into the studio and any other studio as quickly as possible to kind of get their stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because apparently around this time they got signed like 1 year before this album came out by a major label, Polygram, in 1987. And then that's when they were trying to figure out their lineup.
Yeah, they went a long time without getting signed. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, they formed in the early 80s, and Guns N' Roses was, I guess that was 87, right, when they got big? Or 88, they were huge.
88, yeah.
Yeah, 88, they were huge. So, like, I guess it was about the same amount of time they spent, in the trenches, like, playing around. And, they got signed around this, they got signed and put an album around the same time that Guns N' Roses did, I guess. So I guess that makes sense.
And what's cool, when this came out, like you said, January 4th, they actually went on a 3-month United States concert tour starting on January 15th of 1988. And this included dates with supporting acts from Ted Nugent and AC/DC.
Wow.
So very interesting. We could have saw Ted Nugent, AC/DC, and LA Guns. So they were the openers, obviously. LA Guns was. So pretty cool stuff. But yeah, we'll play a couple of stuff. But I always like this band. Very fun, very rock and roll. You know what I mean? Just that kind of like that California party vibes in the 80s. It's pretty much what they're going toward. Very Lost Boys. You know what I mean? Very that kind of style. I like it. One of my favorites.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's get on to what was happening in the world of the pro wrestling of 1988. All right. What a year. So a year. So I actually found this WWF house show from January 1st, 1988 at the Pontiac Silverdome. All right. In Michigan. And this show had some pretty good matches on here. Okay. So we have this contest, which I thought should be a pretty fun match. We had the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid, defeated Los Conquistadores, Conquistador Dos and Conquistador Uno.
Okay. Who are they?
I don't know.
All right, fine.
Let's see. They were, what? So, that's not right. So, Conquistador Dos, okay. Conquistador Dos can be referred to, that's not right. It says Christopher Daniels on here. There's no way that Christopher Daniels, the fallen angel, was this Conquistador. But I guess maybe he could have been at once, and then it could have been Jaden Jector, Jose Estrada Sr., or Nick Dinsmore. So they're just listing all the conquistadors, like that, because WWF used that gimmick a bunch. I remember one time Edge and Christian dressed up as the conquistadors.
Yeah, I mean, Christopher Daniels is getting up there, so I mean, he could have been.
There's no way. This is 1988.
No, you're right. It's 1988 years. Yeah,
he didn't start getting until like 1997 or 6. Or maybe that's probably the earliest we would have saw him.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he was born in 1970, so he was 18 in 1988. So, it's possible that he could have just been like a jobber.
Oh, it's possible, I guess. So we had a rare women's match.
Okay.
We had Sensational Sherry, the champion, the women's champion at the time, defeated Rockin' Robin to retain the WWF Women's Belt. So,
wow,
pretty nice.
Jake the Snake's sister.
Yeah, Rockin' Robin. Yep, you got it. Yeah. So we have Tito Santana defeated Bret Hart. Okay. We have returning this week to the Retro Blood, and apparently we were kind of wrong. So apparently the one-man gang was the one-man gang in the WWF for a little bit.
Oh, right. But he was also Akeem.
Yeah, he's also Akeem, too. So he went from the one-man gang in WCCW. He was the one-man gang in WWF for a while, and then they turned him into Akeem. Okay. So that's what happened. But he was on this show, and he defeated George Steele. Viva disqualification. So.
Wow. So, yeah. So basically, Yeah, 88. That would have been close to the end of Steele's in-ring career, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
So towards there. We have another match. This would have been a really cool match to see. Bam Bam Bigelow defeated King Kong Bundy. Two big guys going at it. Two meat big boys going at it. And then for the main event, we have the Macho Man Randy Savage defeated the Honky Tonk Man. Viva disqualification. So the Honky Tonk Man retained his WWF Intercontinental Belt.
That would have been a cool match to see.
Yeah, pretty fun.
I like Honky Tonk Man better than you do, I think.
Yes, I think he's boring. But, he's out there doing his Elvis gimmick, I guess.
I like the Elvis gimmick. I think it's cool.
Now, he's an okay wrestler. I bet that match was quick. Definitely a lot quicker than some of these matches. But,
yeah,
this pretty standard WWF card in 1988, I would say. This is definitely your C show. It's not your A. No, I guess this would be your B show. Your A show would be whatever show Hogan was on. But I don't think Hogan was doing... He did a little bit in 1988, but this is kind of like when he was winding down, here. He's still the top man. Mm-hmm. But I know he starts winding down more towards like the 89 and 90s. But yeah, pretty fun little show. Not too much on the wrestling this week, but, pretty fun little card out there. Anytime you can see two big guys going at it like Bam Bam and King Kong Bundy, I bet that was pretty fun.
Yeah, that would have been great. That's pretty early Bam Bam too, so that would have been awesome to see.
Yeah,
Bam Bam was great because he could do high flying stuff, and he was a big guy.
Yes,
but I've talked about him a lot before. I mean, he's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
So speaking of, not so fun. Let's get into who booked this shit.
Yeah, who booked this shit? It must have been John McBride.
Yes, apparently it was John McBride. Because not only did he basically was the ultimate booker here. He was like one of those like territory bookers, wrestling bookers who like ran the promotion, booked the promotion, and made himself the champion. All in the same promotion. So I guess, yeah. So basically with him, there's not a whole lot of why he kind of made this movie. And pretty much maybe just was trying to make cheap movies at the time.
Yeah. I mean, I think he was just doing the best he could do. He wanted to make a movie, and that's what he could afford to do. He could buy a camera and make a movie.
Yes. So I said, obviously he also composed. He also did the editing too. So he wrote.
Yeah. So I didn't interrupt you, but I was gonna ask you. I wonder how they did editing then. Did they have to buy an editor for videotape?
Probably. I mean, they probably had to use that editing machine. I don't know if they cut it out like film or not, but I'm not exactly sure what they did in like 1988 or the later 80s to edit the films. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I guess he knew how to do it. So, but he did everything. Like he wrote the story, directed the story, like we said, edited everything, did the music, and he acted in it too. So this is definitely it seemed like a very passionate project to him. And he said the film took 2 months to complete, and it finished in 1988. All right. So it doesn't say how it was released. So, this could be kind of breaking our rule of not being in 1988. I mean, 1980, but it doesn't give us a defined date. It just says the VHS version was released in 1990. It doesn't say that this film was at any kind of film festivals. If he showed it in the back of his garage, we have no idea. Okay, right. But we're gonna use it anyway. Like I said before, the Woodchipper was only rented for 1 weekend, so all the shots of it had to be done before the Monday it was due to be returned, which I can respect. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, if it took more than a weekend to make this movie, I would be surprised.
Yeah, I know. Me too. So he said, according to an interview with John McBride on the DVD, godly, where do you think that's at? The DVD. I already got the Nail Gun Massacre 4K. I'm not buying this one, that's for sure.
No.
So he said the film's final budget was $400, which I can respect. Not included. I think this is this the cheapest movie we've reviewed?
So I was going to ask you. So we did the other movie that was shot on VHS, which I thought we would never do another movie shot on VHS, but here we are.
Was it Sledgehammer?
Sledgehammer. Yeah, I don't know what the budget for Sledgehammer was, but I bet they were similar.
Yeah. So, but this was not including the cost of the camera. I wonder how much the camera was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so because I was going to ask that question too. Like, so he paid $400 to make this movie. I wonder how. I would think the camera would have been around $400.
Yeah.
But but and he had to rent the wood chipper.
Yeah. So probably maybe like what, 1,000 something.
I don't know. Maybe I would guess like a video VHS camera is probably $400 or $500, $300-$400, I guess, in the 80s.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So the film's plot is based on the 1986 Newtown, Connecticut murders of Helen Craps by her husband Richard Craps, in which she was beaten to death and placed in a freezer until he chopped up her body in a wood chipper. This same crime would also later inspire Joel and Ethan Coen to create the film Fargo in 1996. So our boy John McBride, he was up on his crimes, and he was making a movie based on this murder that happened in 1986. So which we've seen before in a lot of horror movies. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
So they'll take like real life situations and make them into horror movies, but like I can kind of see where he was going with this one, where he was like making it where these kids were so innocent they just thought they were doing everything innocently. Even though they're doing something pretty fucked up by, throwing their aunt into a wood chipper and stuff and killing their bad cousin. But yeah, and most movies, like sometimes they have like a moral stance behind them, but I think this one was just made to be. It was, to me, it was like one of those things where it's like, okay, we're gonna make a horror film. We're very low budget, so why don't we just make a comedy horror film? Why don't we just make everything for laughs? Right.
Right.
And and to me, that usually fails.
It does.
Because, as we've seen in Evil Dead, they were trying to make that one serious, but it just ended up being funny.
Yeah, right. They tried to make Evil Dead serious, but ended up being kind of humorous in the way it was made.
Yes.
This was, I guess, intended to be humorous, but I just didn't find it very funny.
It wasn't funny.
I didn't hate it, but I
was bordering on hating it, to be honest with you. That was boring as shit. Okay.
It was, not much happened in this. Like, most of the movie is them, like, trying to, like...
God, stupid dialogue. That's half the fucking movie.
Yeah.
It's them just discussing things. Okay. So, but, not too much. Obviously, John McBride, he would go on to do a couple films. Obviously he did the Blades.
Did Blades.
All right. I believe he did Cannibal Campout.
Campout. Yeah, he did that.
Which is actually on Tubi too. Actually was the recommended movie after this. And I was like, brother, I don't know if I could just waste my snowy day watching all this crap. All right. But
he also made a movie called Feeders.
Yeah, Feeders. So apparently, okay, so Cannibal Campout came out first. That was like his first movie. Then came the Woodchipper Massacre. He did Woodchipper Massacre and Blades in the same year. Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they came out in the same year. He just did them in the same year. Okay.
Yeah, he made Blades for Troma Entertainment, so it got distribution.
Yes.
And then he's still making movies today. He made a movie in 2004 called Holla If I Kill You. Yeah,
there you go. He did 2009 Halloween Night.
Halloween Night.
I wonder if they're all just. Well, he was a composer on that one.
Oh, right. Yeah.
He didn't really make that one. I guess the last movie he actually directed was Black Mass.
Okay.
So that's according to this list right here.
Yeah, he worked with the Polonia brothers a lot, who made a lot of low budget movies.
Yeah.
In the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, it looks like his only 80s movies was the Cannibal Campout, Woodchipper Massacre, and Blades. So, and then he would not go on to make another film released until he did Feeders and Terror House.
Quite a few years later. So it took him a little bit to be able to make another movie.
Well, they probably looked at his work and like, you know what, man? Can you just take a little break? We're good.
Just take a little break.
After Blades, man, we're good. All right. So,
Fantastic.
Well,
at least he's out there doing what he's dreaming about doing, man.
There you go.
Living his dream.
It's true. Like I said, I'll give him some respect. You know, I've made movies with less of a budget like that before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, they're not the best either, but you know, you do what you do. You know what I mean? You do what you do, and maybe one day you'll have two incredibly smart people like us to talk about your film many years later.
I wonder if anybody's ever talked about this on the podcast before.
Probably.
Probably.
I mean, it was probably on like some of those, like, you know, where they just like bad horror movie night or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but like, you know, I don't know if they've done as long in all the history like we do. Okay. So, but hey, it's in the records now, brother, because let's talk about Woodchipper Massacre.
Let's do it.
It's the Brady Kids meet the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in this heartwarming, stomach-churning tale of a not-so-typical American family that unexpectedly finds itself caught up in a web of death, deceit, and dismemberment. In this family, blood really is thicker than water. Woodchipper Massacre.
Okay. So we start off with some dialogue. Written dialogue. All right.
Fantastic.
Right, while there's like a chainsaw going in the background. All right. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, move over, brother.
We got Woodchipper Massacre.
We got Woodchipper, brother. It says this year over 75,000 people were killed by family members in the United States. Where do they get that number from? A poll?
I think that's more reasonable than our quote from last month, which was 250,000 people.
That was last week, Alison, not last month. Damn.
Or excuse me, last week. Yes, last week.
What kind of time traveling device are you in? Uh-huh.
I'm from the future, brother.
All right. 1 in 10 of these murders are never solved and written off as unexplained disappearances.
Yeah.
All right. They're also written off as unexplained disappearances due to the fact that bodies are never found and disposed of in most of the disgusting and indigenous. I can't even say this word. Disposed of in many nasty ways.
Sure.
This is one short story. So.
And here we are.
Talking
about sticking people in wood chippers. But yeah. So this, I just think it's funny that this kind of tries to imply that it's based on a true story. Although it kind of is. I mean, it was inspired by that story, but still.
The story is trying to, in its own way, show you that there's a bunch of dead bodies go missing out there, and people go missing, and they can't find them, most because probably the body has been destroyed in some crazy way. Which
is the best way if you want to get away with a murder, is to destroy the body.
Yes. So, which, that was the point of that, written dialogue there, but the movie doesn't really portray that. So after we get this worded intro, we see some tools. All right, nothing like seeing some tools in the old tool shed. We see some chainsaw. We see this guy chainsawing some branches and putting the wood in the wood chippers and stuff. This actually looked like some sort of like training video of how to use a wood chipper. That's what it looked like. It looked like one of those, you would go to work and like, okay, we need to show you a safety video of how to use these chainsaw and wood chipper, and that's what this looked like on here. Okay. So the dad of John, John's the guy doing all the wood chipping. All right. Dad scares him a little bit. And the dad's basically saying the dad was played by John, but the director and the guy who did everything.
He played the kid.
Oh, John McBride was the kid?
Yeah.
I thought he was the dad.
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, so he was young doing all this shit, huh?
Yeah, he played John. John, Denise, and Tom are the kids.
Okay. So John McBride was the John in this movie.
Yes.
Okay. That's very interesting. I don't know why I thought he was the dad. But anyway. So anyway, John, he meets with his dad and stuff. The dad basically needs his place cleaned up before next week All right, so he's basically leaving for the weekend, and he wants the son to kind of clean up over the weekend. And then this is when we finally get our credits, our true credits. All right. We have 2 kids. Boy, the acting in this was, oh my God, I just wanted to turn it off right here. But, we gotta get this, going. So these 2 kids were talking, and we're meeting this super nerdy looking kid, Thomas, with like this like 80s style mullet and glasses. I was like, man. Mm-hmm. And then we meet Denise. They're talking about new kids at the school, and that the new kids are kind of weird. And then of course Thomas is waiting on his new knife. All right. The dad tells the kids, John, Thomas, and Denise, that he doesn't want John to look over them all, so he's inviting the Aunt Tess out here to watch and babysit them. They don't really want the aunt to come out here, but the dad's like, oh, your aunt's great. She makes all kinds of great food for y'all. All right, she'll make great meals.
Gross.
Okay, and she's also like, well, what about the crazy, like her crazy son? Okay, which I believe his name is Kim. Did you get Kim or Kim? Yeah, it's Kim.
It's yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think
it's Kim. Yeah, so we have John, Denise, Tom, Aunt Tess, Kim, and father. Father.
Yeah, whose name is Tom.
Yes. The kid is Tom.
No, the dad is named Tom.
No,
I'm sorry. You're right. I was confused. I was confused. You're right.
Get your Massacre Woodchipper characters right here. This is very important. Okay. The audience,
John, Denise, and Tom.
The audience needs to know these highly Golden Globe winning actresses and actresses on here. Okay.
Yeah. The father didn't have a name in the movie.
The father was dad and father.
Mm-hmm.
So they're saying that Kim, the guys, they kind of scares him a little bit. Okay. Then we have John randomly plays piano for no reason. We see an outside shot of the dad getting out of his red car, and he's basically picking up Aunt Tess by the train. And if y'all think this is like some sort of like audio masterpiece, it's not. I mean, they are basically using. I don't know if they even used a boom mic.
They didn't use. I don't know if they use mics at all. I'm pretty sure they pick up mic from the camera.
Pretty much. Because you can hear every sound of everything, and this whole movie sounded like it was one big like static, like in the background. Mm-hmm. It was like if early AEW did like this movie, and that's what it would sound like with their bad audio. So he keeps waiting for the train. Now he's back in his red Honda car, and he drops off Aunt Tess. She arrives. She looks at the kid. She's like, "Wow!" And this aunt, bro, holy shit! Like they gave, I'm pretty sure there was like no script here, and the John McBride was just like, okay, I need you all to act super over the top for everything. Okay, that is your goal, and that's what you're gonna be doing. Every line is gonna be super over the top with detail on everything. Okay.
Yeah.
So she arrives, and she's like, I just got here at the nick of time. Look at all these unhealthy kids. I'm going to get you some food. I'm going to fatten you all up. Back in my day, we ate properly. Not like today where these kids can't eat properly at all. I was like, oh boy. And like literally the whole movie is going to be like this. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And she's just like this over the top crazy person.
Yes. Religious fanatic, basically.
Yeah.
So the dad leaves. He's like, all right, you all have fun. And then now the aunt's like, don't stand there like morons. Grab my bag. All right. Does your dad ever feed you? Did y'all eat today? They're like, no, we haven't ate. She's like, what? I don't get why your father can't feed you. Why does he always have to leave it up to me to feed you? Back in my day, we didn't have people. I was like, oh boy, here we go. It's going to be the whole fucking movie. Oh, something I liked about this film was it would give us Friday at 2:07 p.m.
Yes.
Now, we don't know if it's Friday the 13th. We don't know it's Friday the 14th. We don't know anything. All we know, it's a Friday, and it's at It's 11:29 p.m. So now it's still Friday, and now it's 7:29 p.m. Okay.
Okay.
And they all eat dinner, and they all have to say grace. And this is when this is probably like the most metal thing that Aunt Tess said the whole movie.
Yeah.
But she's giving grace. She says, "Our immortal souls are evil, and Satan's thoughts will not creep into us, and those maggots and decomposing corpses won't stop us from eating this film." Okay.
This was my favorite part of the movie, where she just kept doing the prayer at the table, and it just kept going on and on and on, and Tom just kept like trying to drink his water, and like, she would never stop talking.
And everybody's looking at the meal like, I don't want to eat that shit. Her meal basically looked like some sort of like lasagna that was burnt.
It looked terrible.
All right. So she passes on the plate and everything, and they all give it some fake praise because they're all trying to be nice. And now they're back washing dishes. It's like, I can't believe all you kids barely ate any food. Back in my day, we ate whatever we can get.
We ate terrible food, but we don't live back in your day, and we eat good food now.
Yeah. So, and it's like, I don't get why all you kids are very fickle. All right? Like nowadays, all you kids want to lie, rape, and steal.
I know. I thought that was a little over the top.
I was like, oh shit. Like, I'm pretty sure they just told this Aunt Tess lady, she's like, just say whatever. Just be over the top on everything, and then always do the old get off my lawn. Like, every line you have to do is like, you got to be like the get off the lawn guy.
Yeah,
Okay?
so Aunt Tess was played by Patricia McBride, who I'm going to guess is John's mom.
Yes. There you go. The one time only she was in the film. All right.
That we know of.
So they're asking about Kim now.
Mm-hmm.
Kim's the Aunt Tess's son. And I was like, oh yes, Tim, he's just out there good finding. Basically they're doing the whole, your mom is an asshole religious freak fanatic. Yeah. And everybody else does everything wrong except for her son. But in reality, her son is a piece of shit and he's doing everything wrong, but she covers up for him all the time.
Yes.
That is pretty much the gimmick we're getting here. Because she's all saying, oh, Kim, he's finding his way. He's doing a lot better. Okay. John comes in. He's like, okay, well, I got a day. I got to get on here. And Tess like, you ain't going out no date with some sort of flimsy girl. Mm-mm. You kidding me? She's going to fill your head with these vile ideas and stuff. You better tell that tramp, all right, to cancel your date. You're staying here. And he's like, I'm not going to stay here. And the sister's like, please stay here. Please stay here. And John, of course, agrees to stay there. So they start watching TV. I put in my notes, they're making dumb looking faces. Guess what? The aunt comes in and she is pissed.
Shocking.
Y'all can start drinking now.
This is going to be an ongoing theme for this for the next little bit.
Aunt's in there. She's pissed. It's like, what are you watching here? She blames John for showing them all this TV. She's like, why are you showing them all these movies and stuff? All these stuff is just going to rot their brains. Back in my day, we had great programming. All right. And then John's like, well, me and my friends watch these movies, and none of them has become mass serial killers yet. Ha ha ha. Yes. So, oh, God damn it. All right.
Awful.
And now the aunt doesn't care about John's opinion and tells him to get that TV off there. And he forces the kids to go to sleep. The kids are like, well, it's 9:30. Our dad always lets you stay up on the weekends. He's like, well, your dad's not here right now. So your kids are going to have to go to bed and clean up. All right. And then they walk upstairs. They're like, oh boy. It's like they go to sleep. It's a Friday night. This weekend can't get any kind of worse. Ha 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 ha.
Oh my God.
Oh God. So now you're like this one, Alison. It's Saturday at 11:32 a.m. I like how the times are just like always like at 2. Like it's not 11:30. It's not noon. It's at 1 o'clock. Like it's always like at 32.
I like how exact they are.
I know. I like that.
Even though it doesn't matter for the point of the movie.
It doesn't matter at all, but it's hilarious to me. I mean, it kind of matters a little bit later, but not too much later. So we see Thomas. He goes outside walking to some 80s random fucking like some kids music. Some 80s kids music basically in the background. And this is what they call filler. So we show him all walking to the mailbox, look in the mailbox. His knife is not there. Okay. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I just thought it was funny. Like, I just, Like as soon as they start talking about this knife, I'm like, this is going to be a plot point.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
But I had a knife just like that in the 80s too.
Oh, there you go. Did you?
Well, I never stabbed anybody with it, but like it was a big Rambo knife, and it even has the compass in the handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those random knives, man. There was shit back in the day.
Yeah, that was the good stuff.
So the aunt now calls this whole house a pigsty, and she's surprised that anybody can live here. She's surprised that they don't have huff disease. You got huff disease over there, Alison?
No.
Okay, well.
Yeah, I mean, that's like I don't know. It's like a disease that people can get, like being dirty, I think, but I don't know.
So she says a happy house is a temple. All right. And then she's like, Denise, what are you doing? Don't put marks on it. What are you, some sort of dummy? All right. Did God not give you any sense of, like any kind of sense? All right.
And so this goes on for a while.
This just goes on. She's pissed, basically, start drinking. All right. And let's see. Then she goes, back in my day, brother. That's what I put in my notes. We didn't care. All right. Like back in my day, we cared about our work. Unlike today, nobody gives a crap and puts pride in their work at all. All your new generation wants is a bunch of handouts. I was like, you know what? I will give this dialogue something. Every time she does the back in my day stuff, I'm just thinking, you know what? That's a lot like nowadays. When I think about these kids. All you influencers and TikToks, all you want is a bunch of handouts. You don't have pride in your work. All right?
Yep. Some things never change,
yeah.
I guess.
You don't put a great filter on your camera anymore. No, you just put the stock that's already on there. There you go.
Weird.
So now Thomas is cleaning his room. Thomas is in there, and Thomas shows up, and Antes tells him to clean his room. All right, before he could do anything else, he asks where John is, and he said that John is fixing the blades on the lawnmower. He's like, okay. So Aunt shows Denise how to cook a turkey. Okay. Guess what? She's pissed.
Of course.
All right. She says the geezer is still in there. All right. And she's like, this is one of God's creatures. All right. And have you never prepared any food properly before? Back in my day, we prepared food constantly. Okay. Now they're talking about more of God's creatures. And then she's like, listen, dummy, do I need to teach you everything? I was like, God damn. All right. So now Thomas is playing his fake guitar, and guess what? Guess what, everybody?
She's pissed.
She is pissed. Honest. How can you be playing that devil's music? Don't you know that? And bro, this music was just like a random guitar stock track.
Yes.
And she's all like, don't you know there's hidden messages in there? I'm like, in a guitar stock track?
In a guitar stock track, there's hidden messages.
Bro,
not even any lyrics.
This aunt would have freaked out if she heard like Venom. She probably would have had like a heart attack.
She would have.
All right.
And they wouldn't have had to do everything that they did.
And she can't believe her dad lets him listen to this kind of stuff. Don't you know that has evil messages in it? The guy's like, yeah, I do. He says, I have to question your dad's parental judgment. Or he doesn't care. That's a problem with these parents nowadays. They let their kids just run amok on everything. Now clean your room, asshole. All right. It's like, God damn. And then this is the point where I'm like, when you're like watching a film,
mm-hmm.
and I'm taking notes, and like I did the old pause button, and I'm like, oh my God, there's still an hour left to go on this shit. Fuck.
That's what I was thinking too. I was watching it like, how long has this been out? Oh God, 25 minutes.
Damn it, Corey.
Damn it, Corey.
You trying to torture us on here, brother? I mean, fuck.
Corey did this to us on purpose.
Okay. So now Thomas is all, he's like cleaning up his room a little bit, and he finally sees the mail guy. So he runs to the mailbox, and he finally got his knife. So he's super happy. He's like screaming for Denise. It came in. And he shows up to the kitchen where Denise and the aunt's at. And guess what, everybody?
She's pissed.
The aunt is pissed. What the fuck is that? He's like, this is my Rambo survivor knife. He's like, give it to me. He's like, why? He's like, your father would not approve of this weapon in the house. He's like, yay, Woody gave me half for it. I did like that line. He gave me half for it.
Yeah.
He's like, well, she's like, well, I don't care what he did. You're not going to have that weapon in the house. And then Denise is like, oh, come on, just let him have it. You shut your mouth, you dumb bitch. I was like, God damn.
Wow.
She didn't say that, but she should have.
Yes.
She's like, shut your mouth, dummy. All right. And then they start like going back and forth with the knife. Because like basically Thomas is standing his ground finally. He's like, no, you ain't taking this knife from me. So she grabs it and everything. They do a quote unquote struggle.
Yeah.
If you can call it that. And then we cut the scene, and then we can just see that the knife supposedly stabbed her in the belly.
Yeah, but they don't have the budget for that, so it just happened.
And they don't have the budget for blood either, so she just kind of lays there on the floor. All right, and then more dialogue. Oh, God.
Then they have to talk about it for a while. At least we don't have to hear the aunt bitch anymore.
Bro, to be honest with you, I would rather hear her bitch than these kids just talk. Because this right here, I was just like, God damn it. I can't fast forward it, but I want to so bad. She's like, first of all, Denise is like, look what you did. John comes in. He's like, oh, wow. And then she said, like, Denise said, well, she fell on Thomas's knife. So now Denise is freaking so should we call 911 or no? Thomas is freaking out. He thinks he's going to be incarcerated, even though he's only like 13.
They think he's going to be put in the electric chair.
Yeah. They think that she's dead. John checks on her. He's like, yep, she's dead, even though there's no blood or anything. Nothing at all. Thomas thought it might have been a flesh wound, but it wasn't. I put in my notes, they start acting, and I put laughed out loud. Okay. Denise says there's no way out for her anymore. Her life is ruined. John says, he says, damn it, this is really a bummer. Thomas is freaking out, like he said, about the electric chair. Denise asked, should we call the cops? John's like, I'm not sure. Denise is scared she will get kicked out of the Girl Scouts.
And have to give all of her merit badges back.
Yeah, she got to get all her badges back.
She'll never sell cookies again, she says.
John's
sorry. Like, your reaction to this is making the movie worth watching. You're just like, oh, God.
John says, we have to do something. All right. The kid thinks he's going to go to jail. And then John's like, no, you got to be 16. He's like, oh, I got to wait till I'm 16 to go to jail. I was like, oh, God. Denise goes on. John's like, okay, we're all in this together. Because Denise is like, no, we're not. This is just all his fault. The phone rings. They get all scared. They have Denise answer it. She does. It's her dad. He asks how everything is going. He's like, hey, you sound funny. Is everything going okay over there? You're not getting in any kind of trouble, are you?
No.
And she's like, oh, you kids would never get in trouble. Not my kids. Ha, ha, ha. I'm like, God, what the fuck about what? Bro, who is this guy?
Bro.
This John guy still around? Because I want to give him a piece of my mind about this film. And this shitty act.
I bet he is.
Anyway, so eventually he's like, can I talk to Tess? And she's like, well, no, she's dead. And then Dad's like, oh, okay, she's sleeping? Well, when did she fall asleep ago? Then it's like, oh, a couple minutes ago. It's like, okay, well, don't like her. And then he hangs up. And then he asks about John. What's John doing? And then John doesn't want to talk to him. He's like, oh, he's mowing the lawn. He's like, perfect. Send everybody my regards. And then the dad hangs up. So then they come back, they hear another phone call. They all get scared because they think it's the police calling them. Even though, like, they don't know what's going on. It's Mark now. And for some reason, this Denise, like, her character just screams everything. Everything.
So I'm wondering if that was because when he was directing them, because she's a kid.
Yeah.
Because the boy does the similar kind of thing.
They just scream.
So I'm wondering if maybe he directed them to speak loud so the camera mic would pick up their voices. So they just overdo it and speak really loud. Oh my God,
did they ever?
Because when Kim comes into the movie, he's really muffled and hard to understand.
So Mark now calls Denise. Mark is basically like this boy from their school that Denise likes. And she's screaming. She's like, oh, you want to go to the movies? yeah, I might be able to come to the movies. And the kids were like, no, you can't. It's like, oh, I can't. I have to stay at the house. Am I screaming enough for everybody on here? And then he asks, and then she says, oh, you want to come over? And then the guys are like, no. It's like, oh, no, we can't come over. Things are crazy right now. Fuck.
Yeah, she pretty much delivered her lines exactly that way.
All right, and then she's like, okay, I gotta go. And then she's like, oh, my Susie is going to be so jealous that Mark called me. Just screaming her fucking out. Anyway.
So crazy.
So now they got to figure out what to do with the fucking body. All right. So Thomas goes and gets a tarp, and they wrap the aunt up in a tarp. Mm-hmm. But they left her ring on the table. Uh-oh. So they bring her. So now they had the idea to. Well, I think it was Denise's idea was to now put Aunt Tess in the wood chipper.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, they want to put her in the wood chipper now, but they're also thinking about some stories what they could tell the dad. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, maybe the dad won't get mad because she was weird. They're like, no, we gotta make up stories. Maybe we'll just make up stories. She just left, like she just vanished. And John's like, I don't really want to lie to my dad. The dad. Mm-hmm. And Dom was like, well, you're not really lying. She's going to be gone.
She is going to be gone.
And then Denise does a sick burn. She says, yeah, I know. Aunt Tess, she was such a pill. What the fuck does that mean?
That means she's hard to swallow.
Oh, gotcha. So Denise now has that plan, like I said, to put her in the wood chipper. So Thomas doesn't think it will work. He's like, the body's not going to fit in there. All right, so John just says, okay, we just got to make some alterations. So that's when we do a whole scene of them cutting up the body, even though we don't see the cutting up the body.
Yeah, because we don't have the budget for that. We just see them with their instruments moving below the camera level to cut them.
Onto the body. Like, we don't see any. Yeah, there's no body parts or nothing. So then they open up the garage. They're done chopping up the body. Denise is like, Aunt Tess was right. Once you start working with the meat, it's not that bad at all. Oh, God. All right. So now John says, okay, well, the body is going to be too soft, and it's going to gum up the blades and the wood chipper. So Thomas now has the idea to freeze the body. Yeah.
Okay.
To make it hard.
Would that work?
Well, I mean, I guess it did. In this film, it did. Kind of.
Well, okay. Fair enough.
Well, kind of. We'll get there. So now they talk about Susie at school now. Okay. And then Denise is asking, because basically Thomas says, you better not tell people at school about this, especially Susie, because she has a blabbermouth. And now Denise is asking, okay, are we going to just start killing people now? And then John's like, nah, we're just ordinary kids.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we're just going to put these people, this woman in a wood chipper, and we go back to being ordinary kids.
And then they're saying, we're just going to keep the body in here for a couple hours. It'll be hard as a rock. So now they put the parts in the wood chipper. No blood at all comes out.
Because they don't have the budget for blood.
Yes. It just looks like a bunch of wood that comes out of it.
Which is what it was.
Yeah. So now it's the next day. We see birds by a pond for like literally 5 minutes. Just wasting time. It's Sunday at 8:09 a.m.
I don't know. I can't get past that. Like how it's like such exact. It's 8:09. It's not 8 o'clock. It's 8:09.
To be honest with you, that part was my favorite part in the film. Just having Sunday at 8:09, randomly.
Like it's so specific, and like there's no you know he did it on purpose.
Yeah. So that part was funny. Yeah. Nothing else was pretty much funny except for that. So now Thomas said he had a scary dream about his science teacher. He said the government was experimenting on clones like they did Hitler, and they made a bunch of clones of his science teacher, and it was teaching him all the subjects. I was like, okay, why was that needed? Okay, John comes up. He needs to go get some gas for the lawnmower. And Denise is asked if everything's going to be okay. And then John's like, don't worry, we have nothing or nobody to be afraid of. And of course, in drives weird face dude looking guy in the car, which is Kim.
Right.
And
did we mention that Kim is a criminal?
Well, he basically was yeah, we did, because we said that Kim was the son of Aunt Tess, and he's basically like a piece of shit, criminal dude.
Yeah, right.
Asshole. And he looks like that dude from The Bear.
He does kind of look like that dude from The Bear.
What's the fucking guy's? I'm gonna look it up.
I can't think of the guy's name, but the guy that was in Shameless.
Yeah, Shameless. He also played Carrie Von Erich in the Iron Claw. Let's see, I know it. Okay, Jeremy Allen. Yeah, that's right, Jeremy Allen. He looked like a dope version of Jeremy Allen.
Kind of, yeah.
Like not like, he looked like a little taller than he did, but like the face and everything and the hair was very similar to this guy. It was kind of creepy. Everybody check it out. So he's driving all weird face looking shit. All right, and let's see where I'm at here. And we have John out there going to go get some gas. Okay, and this is when we get Kim showing up to the house and looking all around. All right. So then during this, we have the dad's calling up Thomas. And the dad's asking how everybody's going, how's all the gang. And he's telling Thomas, like, hey, I finished my work early, so I'm actually coming today at 2 o'clock, and we can all go out for dinner. He's like, is Aunt Tass there? And Thomas is like, oh, no, she's not here. She just went out for a little bit. He's like, okay, well, just tell everybody I'll be there around like 1 o'clock. All right? No. He said, like, I'm going to be there at 2. So now when Thomas and Denise, now they're trying to come up with the plan to tell their dad about Aunt Tess maybe leaving around 1 p.m. That's how they can hide her disappearance.
Exactly.
So Kim shows up, okay? He looks around the house all creepy and shit like I was saying. Kim sees his cousins, and then he starts acting. Oh, look who it is. It isn't my cousins. What are you doing over there? Oh, God. He's like, where's my mom at, Tess? All right. And they're like, yes, my mom. He's like, our mom? He's like, no, not your mom. Your mom's dead. Where's my mom? Oh, God.
Good Lord.
And then they're like, well, she got sick, and John drove her to the airport and drove her to the train station. And then Kim's like, oh, that damn bitch. She can't help me. Oh, I'm really going to get it this time. He's like, can I use your phone? They're like, oh, I don't know. He's like, come on, give me a fucking break. So he's in there. He calls. He needs to talk to this guy named Sam about a loan. It's like, oh boy, just like all these worthless dudes always have the same story. They always get some loan that they need to pay back that they never do. Like, what do they spend the money on? Just drugs, I guess?
Drugs, yeah. They spend the money on meth.
Yeah. So Sam needs a loan. Well, he's calling Sam about the loan. He's like, well, I wasn't planning on having any problems today about paying back the loan. The kid starts staring at him. And then he sees the ring on the table. He's like, hey, hold on. I think I might have figured out a way to get the money for you. So don't tell Sam right away. So he hangs up. He's like, what is this ring? He's like, that's a ring. He's like, I know it's a fucking ring. What is it doing here? This is from my mom's ring. He's like, well, she was cooking a lot today, so maybe she left it. She wouldn't leave that ring. She's too frugal. But, I don't really care. This is a blessing right now. I'm going to pawn this. And the kid's like, you're going to pawn it? It's like, shut up. I'm going to pawn this ring. I'm like, God. Okay, we got you. Like
Crazy.
It's like that dialogue where it's like over the top and then everything needs to be explained. You know what I mean?
Right.
So now he wants to know where all the money is stashed around here so he can, pay off his debt or whatever. All right. And the kid's like, well, we can't give you any money without asking your dad. He's like, I don't give a fuck about your dad. Where's the cash around here? And they're like, how much do you need? He's like, none of your business. He's like, what are you going to use it on? Not your fucking business. All right. That's what he basically was saying. So now John shows up. He sees Ken's car. He walks in. Kim just knocks his ass out. He's like, once a wimp, always a wimp. All right. And then Kim tells the kids, like, we're going to need some conditions over here. And he looks for cash on John. He's like, only $20? Well, maybe his credit cards will look. And the kids are freaking out. It's like, look, nobody fucks with me. All right. And you might not fuck with me. I might not get you now, but maybe later. I can come back and make you suffer. All right, brother. Don't fuck with me.
So bad.
Now I'm asking for some spare cash. Where is it around here? All houses have some spare cash.
Mine doesn't.
Yeah, I don't got no fucking cash around here. So now they're like, okay, now they're looking for the cash in like this, I guess the dad's office. And then Denise like, well, we do have some stuff you can pawn that are very expensive. We do have a VCR.
Which I guess was big money in
big money, brother. He probably got $300 for that bad boy.
Yeah, exactly.
They had a computer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or we get that big machine outside. He's like, what's the machine? He's like, well, I don't know if our dad wants you to look at it. I don't give a shit about your dad. Let me see what that machine is. All right? And then he looks at the machine. He's like, oh, it's a wood chipper. He's like, I don't know if I can get it out of here. It's kind of big. All right? And they're like, okay, well, you got to look in there. There might be some, like, cash in there. It's like, there's not going to be no cash in there. There's just a bunch of, looks like you just put branches in there.
So they tell him to look in the wood chipper because there might be cash in there.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So now he's looking in there to try to find, maybe some stuff in there.
Maybe.
And Denise looks at Thomas to turn it on. And eventually Thomas turns it on. John comes out of nowhere, throws his ass into the wood chipper, and there goes Kim. He gets his ass wood chipped. And then they're like watching it. There's very little blood. I mean, this is like just jam, I guess. Okay. And now they're saying, oh shit, I guess it does work with a full body.
I guess you can put a full body in there.
Yeah. So, and then John calls him a geek. That geek.
I feel like this entire movie was a setup for this joke.
Yes, it was.
About how they can fit a full body.
Now, who were the geeks? Was it Kim or is it the people like us watching the film?
Oh, definitely us.
Okay. All right. So then he says, he's like, they're saying, oh, I guess you can't put whole people in there, but yeah, it's messing. I was like, there's no fucking mess around here anywhere. So then they're saying, oh, I guess Dad got his money's worth. Glad that's all over. It's like, wait a minute. Kim still has his car here. They're like, oh, shit. So now they plan for John to go drive it and leave it at the airport, even though they've been talking about the train station the whole time. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
And he's like, well, what are you going to do to come back? He's like, well, I'll hitchhike. He's like, well, we don't want you to hitchhike and stuff. And then John's like, wait a minute. I got to finish the lawn. Dad's going to be pissed. And then Tom's like, wait a minute, I forgot to tell y'all because we've all been here trying to murder this crazy man. Dad's coming home at 2.
Not tonight.
Tonight. He's coming home tonight at 2.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what time is it now? 11:30. And they're like, oh, shit. So now they decide that the kids are going to clean up the lawn and John is still going to ditch the car and at the airport and he's going to get a hitch. All right, so we get this whole long sequence that I kind of fast forward through because I was
you didn't watch this? The montage of them.
Oh God!
Of them
I watched a little bit of it. I couldn't stand it, bro. I was like, get this shit out of. Oh.
Please let this in.
So we get the lawn, them cleaning up the lawn. Dad's coming home on the scene. John gets hitchhiked and stuff, and they eventually get the lawn looks great and everything. They eventually get home and they're all hanging out at the garage. Dad comes home, says, "Oh, look at the lawn, John. The lawn looks great." It's like, well. I had some help from Thomas and Denise. He's like, oh, you guys were great kids and stuff. And he's praising them and everything. Hey, where's Aunt Tess? Well, she had to leave. She was not feeling too well. And I was like, oh, that's sad to hear. She said John could take care of us for the rest of the 2 hours. He's like, oh, yes, that's fine. Did she say anything about coming to visit us again? And they're like, oh, no, she didn't say that at all.
Nope.
I was like, oh, okay. And then we cut and we see some blood on the branches and we see the ring. And ends one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Woodchipper Massacre. That's the end.
Wow. Yeah. I mean,
I think it would have been, if the dialogue wasn't so campy, I think it would have been okay for a very low budget style film. But it was just way too campy for me. Way too campy.
Was this movie good? No. Was it interesting? Also no. But I don't know. I respect the fact that he made it. Blades is a better movie than this. It's funnier. It's wittier. It's a Jaws parody.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a much better movie than this.
Yeah, definitely.
I haven't seen Cannibal Camp Out, and I probably never will.
We'll probably do it on the show.
Unless we do it for the show.
You know what I mean? We got some more cannibal movies to do.
Movies, right? We might as well do all
Yeah, finish them all up.
Yeah, why not?
So
maybe we'll do it for Cannibal Month next year.
Yeah, there you go.
Or this year.
Yeah, Cannibal Month 2, brother. You know what I mean? So, but everybody, thanks for joining us on this wild ride through some killer objects. The Woodchipper. Deadly device there.
Oof.
But join us up next week as we finish up this month with the movie I'm pretty excited about seeing. We'll see how this goes at the massacres. Nail Gun Massacre.
Nail Gun Massacre. It's got to be better than this, right?
Yeah. So we watched on that one where we talk all about that. And but yeah, that's a wrap on this one. Thank God. This one is going into the the back archives. I would say
back archives
in my brain. Okay, so that's what's gonna be. But everybody,
wow.
What kind of LA Guns? What do you think LA Guns were watching Woodchipper Massacre? You know what I mean, on the tour bus. You know what I mean, while they're doing cocaine and strippers.
I bet they weren't. Maybe they had it on in the background while they were fucking strippers and groupies and doing coke. Maybe they did. But what LA Guns saw? This place sex action.
There you go, brother. Because there was no action. There was no sex. There was nothing in this one, brother. Okay.
Gotta get it all from the song.
Gotta get it all from the song, man. It's all from the band on that way. So, but everybody, join us next week. Retro Blood, Nail Gun Massacre. Hopefully, it will redeem itself. We'll see. J.H. Alison, James Kline. We'll see y'all later.
See you guys.